I sense and share your frustration that the withdrawal agreement remains unapproved by Parliament. Are you concerned that one of the consequences of it not having been approved is the uncertainty created, and that's now costing the economy hundreds of millions of pounds a week?
Well, obviously, uncertainty has an impact on business. I think the reaction of business to the fact that an extension has been granted has been positive, because they were concerned about the immediate impact of a no deal. But, of course, as soon as we can ratify this deal, business will be in a better position because they will know, have certainty about the future. And I think it is clear that there are opportunities there for business which would be, I can say unleashed, but will become available once they have that certainty.
I agree, and the latest data on UK business investment shows that it's fallen for 6 consecutive quarters now and been stagnant overall since 2016. So do you agree with the assessment of the Chancellor, who told the Treasury Select Committee last week that the principal reason is uncertainty created by the continuing process of working out how we will exit the European Union?
As I say, uncertainty of any sort has an impact on business. They have the current uncertainty in relation to Brexit. They welcomed the deal when we negotiated the deal. They welcomed the fact that we had the transition or implementation period in place, which gave them that greater certainty for the future. I think there were real opportunities. I think, first of all, our economy has remained resilient against a background in which many had predicted and some had thought that it would have quite a different outcomes. So the way I would put it is, given the resilience and strength of our economy against this background of uncertainty, just think how much better that could be if we end that uncertainty, ratify the deal, leave the European Union with a deal in an orderly way.
So I suppose what I'm asking really is, is it your position that you would, if possible, like to get the withdrawal agreement through and resolve that uncertainty as soon as possible? Are you not to wait until the 31st of October, but to do it much sooner than that?
Absolutely, definitely. I mean, that's why the element of fungibility or terminability, whichever term you wish to use, of the date was very important to me, i.e. that as soon as we've ratified the withdrawal agreement, the agreement is that as soon as we've ratified the withdrawal agreement, then we leave at the end of the month in which that deal is ratified.
Do you have a date in mind that you're able to share with the committee you're targeting for potentially having another go?
I'm tempted to say, after the challenge I received earlier in relation to dates I've given in the past, and given the approach that the House has taken so far, I'm reluctant to put an actual date on it, except to say that I want to do this as soon as possible. I've had several attempts to ensure that we could do it before the European parliamentary elections. We've got that longer extension available, but I want to ensure that we do it before that, well before that extension deadline comes into play.
So one of the other areas of uncertainty that is created, of course, is what the impact of Brexit or not having Brexit is on the comprehensive spending review, which I think we can all agree is a very important moment for any government. Now, the Chancellor again said to the Treasury Committee last week that the spending review can't be undertaken until there is a Brexit deal. So are you concerned about the implication of that for the ability of spending departments to plan ahead?
Well, obviously, we have to look very carefully at the spending departments. I think the Chancellor shares my hope that we will be able to get this deal through within a timetable that enables them a preparation for a spending review, and departments to be able to address that, and us as a government to be able to address that fully and properly in a reasonable timetable. I think it is, and so that is another element. If it were the case that we were still in a position, obviously, where we had not agreed the deal, then it would be necessary for us to take a decision in relation to the spending review and future spending determinations for departments, obviously.
Do you have a sense of what that position would be? Would it have to be just a settlement for 1 year only, or would there be certain... Obviously, I think the NHS spending settlement was announced quite a long time ahead of the rest of the CSR. Do you have a fallback position, if you like, for the comprehensive spending review?
That is a matter to be determined, depending on the circumstances in which we were to find ourselves, but we're working to get a deal through such that we can have a spending review in that normal way.
And just finally, one of the other things that the Treasury Select Committee asked for and was given by the government was a detailed economic analysis of various withdrawal type scenarios, including, I think it didn't quite model the government's the withdrawal agreement agreed with the EU. If there were to be success in the cross-party talks, and there were to be some changes, and Yvette Cooper has probed on where there might be an area for some change or agreement. Would the government prepare an updated economic analysis so that Parliament had all that information before MPs were asked to make a decision on a revised withdrawal agreement?
As we haven't yet determined whether or not there is a landing zone that is going to be possible, and if there were not, of course, we would go to the votes from the House of Commons, and would need to wait the outcome of those votes. I mean, we want to ensure that the House of Commons is well informed on any decision that it is taking in relation to this matter.
Thank you.
Sorry, could you just clarify, Prime Minister, does that mean that you would publish a revised economic impact assessment if there were agreement?
I recognise I didn't directly answer that question, because I think we would need to look at what information.
Prime Minister.
Yes, I know. We would need to look at what information it was for Parliament to be informed. We would need to look at what information it was Parliament should have in advance of that. I mean, the analysis that was given previously did, of course, I'm talking from recollection here, but it did already analyse a number of potential outcomes, and obviously one would need to look at that in the light of any decisions that have been taken.
So sorry, just to follow up on the Chair's question there, so would your office, the government be open for a discussion? Should there be a landing zone identified and there be a proposal put back to Parliament? Is the government open to a discussion between government and Parliament as to the update analysis that's needed, so that, as you say, MPs have all the information that we possibly can have to make decisions on behalf of our constituents?
I think we would. Well, we will want to make sure that Parliament does have as much the information that enables it to be well informed when it takes these decisions. Obviously, but by definition, any economic analysis can only go so far, because it's about the future relationship. That's a matter for negotiation. So it's not an economic analysis that says this is definitely where you're going to end up and this is definitely going to be the answer, because the negotiation result won't be known at that point.
Appreciate it, but absolutely. But of course, there is an impact. Different scenarios will have different impacts on the economy according to the likelihood of future successful and how open the trade deals are, or the trade relationship is between the UK and the EU, which I think is what the Treasury were trying to get to in their first analysis.
Yes. And indeed, as I say, they did provide analysis on a variety of scenarios at that point.
Thank you.